Hello, folks. I've been allowed to use Shirley's cabin. Pretty good, isn't it? Very nice. Welcome to Midweek. When I was in a church in Swindon, the vicar there, called Arthur, was a lovely bloke, and he was very supportive. But I remember on one occasion, I was director of View for Christ, and I wanted to do something in a local pub at Goddard Arms in Old Town, quite posh, and do an outreach event. And I got any amount of hassle and criticism from various Christian groups. And Arthur said to me, that's always the way. You will always, if you want to do something for the Lord, you will always get criticism, and probably it'll come from Christians. Which is an awful thought, isn't it, really? But actually, he's been proved to be right. The criticism comes very often from the least expected quarter. And we did on Sunday this study on Acts chapter 11, where there were like potential criticism for Peter and Paul and people like that who are reaching out in the name of Christ, because they were reaching out to everybody rather than just Jews. And I wanted today just to sort of think about what kind of that has in terms of implications for us. I'll just remind you of Acts chapter 11. And if you want to look at it, do Acts chapter 11. You can read the whole thing. I don't want to take up loads of video time reading the whole passage when you can do that anyway. It says the apostles and followers in Judea heard that Gentiles had accepted God's message. So when Peter came to Jerusalem, some of the Jewish followers started arguing with them. They wanted Gentile followers to be circumcised, and they said, "You stayed in the home of Gentiles and even ate with them." And then Peter told him exactly what had happened. He remembered what happened. He had this vision of a sheep being let down from heaven, and all these animals which are forbidden to be eaten by Jews were in that. And God says to him, they're not unclean. Don't call anything unclean, which I said is clean. And that was God's way of saying to Peter, it's okay to reach out to the Gentiles. And then he goes and he reaches out to Cornelius, this Roman soldier. And this is the point where the gospel is really going out into all the world. But it's not an easy path, that's for sure. So here's some questions for us to think about. What kind of cultural problems do we face in reaching out with the gospel? It's not the same, I don't think. Certainly not in Darrington. But there might be cultural problems that we have. Thinking about the different sort of cultures that are around. We might not have a huge sort of Jewish versus Gentile culture, but we do have different cultures within our own small society here. Think about the youth culture and our culture, by which I mean us slightly older people. And how are you personally going to help in relating the gospel to these people who might have no experience of it whatsoever? Have you, or do you expect criticism for reaching out to those who traditionally haven't mixed in Christian circles? And then when people become Christians, what kind of care should we provide them with? What do they actually need? And more personally, what is your role in that? And I wonder about us as a church. So you might want to think about this. Are we open to being a multicultural church? We don't really have a massive experience of it. We've got a few Romanians kicking around, the odd South African, things like that. But are we really open to being a multicultural church? And this is the time really to think about that and to discuss it. Do we need to change in any way? Well, here's a quote from the book that Daniel and I have been using in our thoughts, and it says this: changing for the sake of change is not necessary, but change for the gospel's sake is important. Shall I say that again? Changing for the sake of change is not necessary, but change for the gospel's sake is important. Well, there's some thoughts for you to kick around, and we'd love your feedback as well. So if you want to let us know on the WhatsApp, whatever it's called, WhatsApp group, that's it, yeah, that'd be great. And we can sort of share on that what we're thinking about this passage and what challenges it brings for us. Have a good rest of the week, and see you again soon. God bless.